How to achieve freedom from anything, mentally and financially. I want you to all imagine that you're 7 again, and it's Saturday morning. What were you doing? Did you wake up in the morning? Did you play board games? Would you be with your friends? Would you rush off to get an ice cream? It was freedom, wasn't it? Freedom that we felt when we were children. But when we saw the adults, we thought, oh my God, when I get to be an adult, I'll be in control. I can't wait to be an adult. No one's going to tell me when to go to bed. I'll have all the freedom in the world. No one can tell me anything. I'll be totally free. But we all had the freedom then. We just didn't see it. Now, it's hard to appreciate that at 7, obviously. But then when we become adults, suddenly we're being more controlled. We lost a sense of freedom, right? So many of us have ended up being less free, more controlled, and as far away as possible from who we really were and are. And if you was to ask the majority of people if they'd like more freedom, 100% of the people would say yes. Yet most people don't achieve it. Why is that? I don't want to come here and talk about how budgeting for a rainy day or building an emergency fund will work, because when you do that, you always get a big bill for your car breaking down, right? Or the washing machine needs replacing. And I don't want to talk about saving your money, like they tell you in the finance books or morning TV, because even if you save 10% of your income for 10 years, you'll still only have 1 year's worth of income saved. What good's that? Work for 40 years and have 4 years income saved? It's no good, is it? And I certainly don't want to talk about grind and hustle and earning more money, because there's tons of people online already telling you how to do that, and I don't want to give you a lecture on how to work yourself to death. It is worth noting on that point, though, one thing you do hear a lot of people say is time is money. Time is money. And the problem with that phrase is it was created by someone who doesn't actually want you to have any freedom. In fact, most of our calendars are filled with other people's time and other people's agendas. But I do want to talk about a solution, and that's what I want to give you today. The reason I was asked to talk here today is to share with you guys 2 extremely powerful techniques. The first one has been so powerful amongst the people I've worked with. People have had tattoos on their skin of this process. And that's how to create more freedom right now. Who here wants more freedom right now? Practically everyone. The second step is to how to build a sustainable, free future, whether that's next year or in 10 years, or even a legacy for your family. So we're going to start with the first thing. Ready? How to be more free right now. What true freedom is and how to achieve it. And it has nothing to do with buying crypto, I'll tell you that. Does that sound good? You up for that? All right, let's start with the first one. Now, somehow, this was always intuitive to me. I don't know where it came from, but when I was in my late 20s, I'd pick up the phone and a friend would say, do you want to go to that show next month? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm free. And they'd say, do you want to go camping? And I'd be like, yeah, let me know when suits you. I'm always free. And they'd be like, do you want to come to a barbecue? I'd be like, yeah, I'm free. After a while, they were like, how on earth can you always be free? Like, you've got to be doing other things. It's unreal. You're dealing drugs? But it was strange to me how they couldn't be free. I couldn't comprehend it. It was something odd. And I started thinking back to this BMX. This all started with a BMX when I was 13 years old. I wanted nothing more than this BMX, this Mongoose Sniper BMX for my 14th birthday. And it was chrome, it had trick nuts, had a gyro that you could spin the handlebars, right? It literally consumed my thoughts. It's all I wanted. Literally to the point where I was getting photocopies of this thing and I was putting it under my mum's pillow and in the cutlery drawer and in the tea cupboard to get the hint, until one day my mum came down the corridor and I knew what she was going to say. She had this solemn look on her face and it was like, son, I know you really, really want this bike, but it's a bit out of our price range. However, if you raise half the money, we'll put the other half towards it. I shook on the deal. That was a deal, right? I was ecstatic. I was over the moon. That was it. I didn't think twice. But then it hit me. How's money actually made? Like, how do you make money? I could photocopy it. I've only ever seen it come out of a wall. But anyway, deal was the deal. I sat there, I had a think, and I thought, okay, I can wash cars, right? On the estate that I lived on, we had these greens. All the cars were parked around. Walked around, took a while, got my first client, washed the car. I got £5 plus £2 tip. I was over the moon. I was ecstatic, right? But I gave that £7 to my stepdad, and I said, could you get me another bucket and sponge? And the next day, I got my friend Gareth to help me, and we did 4 cars. And within 4 weeks, I had 4 friends, and we was able to do 16 cars in a day. And I wasn't doing any washing. I was just doing what I was enjoying. I was selling the car wash. I was taking the payment. I was just checking everything over. And that was really intuitive to me. I moved towards doing more of the things that I enjoyed and away from the things I didn't. So the equation of being free for most people today was kind of intuitive to me, which was first to delegate and then automate. I delegated everything that wasn't inspiring and I didn't like, and I only did the things that I did like and still got paid a bit of money, and as a result, I was over the moon. It might sound simple, but the 100 people in this room, I reckon we could save about 10,000 hours per month of uninspired time. What do I mean? Well, it looks like this. Right now, for the majority of people here, I'm going to assume that your day is filled with a long list of things to do. Right? Things that you don't particularly want to do, things that you wish you didn't have to do, some of the things you don't mind doing, some of the stuff you love doing, and there's a few things that you would do every day for the rest of your life without even being paid. Am I right? Right. So at the moment, the majority of the day is filled with low priority tasks, right? Things that don't really get your juices flowing. And the things that you love are the minority. So the first thing we need to tackle is how to remove all those uninspiring tasks and be able to just focus on the things that we love. Now, just when I did the car wash thing, I had to use some of my money to pay for delegation, but I was free. And unless you master that, it doesn't matter how much money you earn, you'll never be free. And yes, initially, you might appear to have less disposable income, but is that a bad thing? Well, no. During the lockdown, following the pandemic, when they wanted us to go back into the office, we were perfectly fine with a pay cut if we could stay home because we enjoyed the freedom and sense of mobility. At Zoomer, they found that 60% of people wanted to stay at home after COVID. And according to a survey by Hayes, 56% of UK employees, they were happy to take a pay cut for better work-life balance. That means that many employees would actually prefer to work remotely than to be paid a higher salary. So we trick ourselves into thinking more money is more freedom and happiness, but it's not that. So what I want you to all do when you get back home, and this is what I recommend, please do this first, a time study, right? I want you to all do this time study. And you do it over a week. You have 168 hours spent doing things. About a third of that's usually sleep, but the rest of the day is filled with other stuff. Set a timer every 15 to 30 minutes of your entire working week, right? And note down what you spent that time doing. Categorize all the items into, bathing, showering, etc., until you've filled your entire week with a heat map of how you, literally how you spend every minute of your week, right? There's no hiding. And aside from this, apart from the things that you have to do, like eat, sleep, go to the toilet, you should have a list clearly detailing what you spend most of your time doing. It might be shocking, but from this, you can also give each one a score by how inspired you feel to do each of those tasks. And what you might notice is some of these things that you're most inspired to do, you spend the least time doing, and vice versa. But now you have a priority list. And then you can work out how much it would cost to delegate the most uninspiring tasks, right? And reduce and delete the things that you don't like doing and spend more time doing the things that you love or the things that you value most. Does that make sense? So this is part 1 of your homework. Do that. Make free time right now. Now, the question is, what do you do with your free time, right? Do you go fishing? Do you go golfing? You can do whatever you want. Or you can do stuff that you enjoy more by creating more freedom in the future. So the tool for freedom in the future And out of all the training that I've done, all the podcasts that I've done, this is the number one chosen favorite tool, right, of anyone that's ever been in contact with me over my professional career at least. This is the one. So most people have one source of income, and it might be their job, and they get paid from that one source of income into their bank, which normally gets filled at the end of each month. But the problem is there's a crack in the bucket, and most of their money dissipates into living and entertainment. The first step is to control that by putting a limiting tap on it, so we know exactly what's going out. This allows us to start saving a bit of money, and once you have a nice cushion in the bank, ideally 3 to 6 months living costs, it's wise to start setting an allocation to your freedom account, assets that you buy or create. Start with 10%, ramp it up routinely, and once you're acclimatized to it and it starts to grow and the returns compound and accelerate, you keep reinvesting until one day in the not too distant future, that asset income starts to meet your regular income. And you find yourself in this incredible position where you can turn your job income off. Or just do the things that you love at your job and take what you need. No overtime, you're free. So your homework on this is, as soon as you see that you've delegated and automated, go home and understand what this is as well. Freedom is organizing your life in a way to do what you want, where you want, with whoever you want. And this process allows you to do that. This is what I did. This will undoubtedly work for you. Your lives with just 2-3 years from now will look very different if you take control of this. That's a definite. But there is a problem. And the problem can be described from the most extreme of cases. I was in Dubai recently. It was June. Lovely weather. I was on this yacht, turquoise waters, everything that you could ever dream of. And I was enjoying it. But the rest of the people on this yacht, they weren't. There was so much moaning and bickering going on with these rich millionaires. I need this, I want that, I'm chasing this, chase, moaning about team and staff and all this kind of thing. So being a millionaire isn't going to make you a 7-year-old. Being a billionaire isn't going to make you a 7-year-old. It's going to make you rich and it's going to make you look like you've got more stuff, but it's not going to give you the freedom. And at the end of the day, it's the freedom that counts. Therefore, it's also crucial as like an extender step is to write down what you need. Take time to figure out what's meaningful to you and what that looks like and what it costs. Not influenced by TikTok or Instagram or not influenced by me or any other TED Talk. What do you want? Because your freedom is removed as soon as you get swept away living someone else's life or someone else's fantasy. So once you know that, put that up on the wall, and then when you achieve it, you can put a big smile on your face and say to yourself, I did it. This is where I'm content. Otherwise, you'll just be as lost as those billionaires on the yachts in Dubai, right? You've accomplished so much money, but you're not a 7-year-old. Now, one of the things I did when I was a kid was play Tetris. Anyone? Tetris is about optimizing for time and space so you can enjoy the game for as long as possible. And I see my life the same way. Your life is filled with blocks of all shapes and sizes, right? And your job is to efficiently manage the blocks to free up your time and space so that you can fill your life with all the things that you enjoy until eventually you run out of time. And thinking of your life like that, or I like to think of my life as a progress bar, it helps motivate me, right? It's motivating. Now, one day in the future, this is going to be me, right? It might be when I'm 70 years old. It might be when I'm 75 years old. It might be when I'm 80 years old, 100 years old. But until that day, I plan on being 7 years old for as long as I possibly can. And I hope that this talk has inspired you all to do the same because I highly recommend it. Total freedom. Thank you.
Yeah.